Hello Summoners and welcome to another ProGuides patch rundown video. My name is Christoph and today I'll be going over all the changes that were made in patch 9.20. I'll cover all the details including a tier list for each role that was made by our challenger analysts and partnered pro players. Patch 9.20 is a relatively small patch, but it did come with some mini reworks to champions like Garen, Shaco, Ivern, and Victor. Just as a reminder though, since these champions are receiving so many changes, our analysts will follow a general rule and will not be placing them in our tier list this patch. However, we will make sure to study their fresh stats this week and keep you guys updated with their stance in the meta during our tier list update video 1 week into the patch. Also guys, we highly encourage everyone to comment on our lists and say if you agree or disagree with specific champion placements. We read them all down below. But before we get into the tier list, if you guys want to climb the ranks this season, then make sure to click the link below. We have a ton of great content to help you guys get better at the game, and we also have challenger coaches ready to help you right now. Now that being said, let's jump right into the mid-patch update. Let's kick things off by starting off with the new skins. First, we have this amazing High Noon Ashe skin, and then this terrifying High Noon Darius skin. And finally, we finish off the trio with High Noon Hecarim. These skins look pretty darn awesome, so make sure to get some RP for them. Right now onto the balance changes, let's start off as always with the top lane. Ever since his rework a few months ago, Pantheon has been one of the most dominant and oppressive top laners in League of Legends. His early game is extremely powerful and is almost unrivaled when it comes to dueling. Having so much burst, safety, and poke in his kit while also being a relatively easy champion makes him a very strong pick in the recent meta. However, in patch 9.20, Pantheon is looking to receive a nerf on his Q, Comet Spear, which will have its damage lowered from 75 to 235 to 75 to 215. These nerfs are designed to reduce his damage during the mid to late game, but Pantheon will likely remain unaffected by these changes. His early game and laning phase is still going to be extremely oppressive, and he can easily snowball his way into a strong mid game. Pantheon already falls off during the mid to late game, which means that these nerfs will not really impact him all that much. He will remain in our top lane S+ tier for this patch. Next up for top lane, we have the much anticipated Garen rework. After months of testing, the Garen update is finally hitting the live servers, and the changes are looking pretty promising. First up, we have some changes to his base stats. Garen's base HP has been increased from 616 to 620, his HP per level has been lowered from 84.25 to 84, and his attack speed per level has been increased from 2.9% to 3.65%. Next, we have his passive Perseverance, which will no longer double the effects when he is under 25% or 50% HP. In addition to this, the cooldown of this ability has been changed from 9 to 4 seconds to 7 seconds. The healing amount has been buffed from 2 to 8% to 1.5 to 10.1%, and getting hit by epic monsters will no longer break the passive during all stages of the game. Next up is Q. Decisive Strike will only receive a small change, which will now allow it to scale with attack speed. Garen's W. Courage will have its resistance per stack lowered from 0.33 to 0.25. The max cap has been lowered as well from 50 to 30, and the minion kills to max stacks has been increased from 150 to 160. In addition to this, Garen's W will also grant him a shield that will block 10% of his max HP, and he will no longer take 60% reduced damage for the first 0.75 seconds. Next up is E. Judgment will have its ticks changed from 5+1 per 3 levels to 7+1 per 20% attack speed. The base damage of this ability has been lowered from 14 to 30 to 8 to 24, and the AD ratio has been nerfed by a small amount during the early game. On top of that, Judgment will add 0.8 damage based on your champion level, and the Armor Shred will now be activated when you get 6 ticks instead of 4. Judgment also no longer deals 33% bonus damage when only hitting one enemy, and will now deal 25% bonus damage to the nearest enemy instead. Okay, there's a lot of information, but finally we have his ultimate, Demacian Justice, which will have its villain passive completely removed. And using this ability will grant vision of the target for 1 second as well. In addition to this, the magic damage has been changed to true damage, and the total damage amount has been nerfed. Here you can see it on screen. I'm not even going to say it. There's just too much on there. Okay, so overall, what do all of these changes mean? Well, these Garen changes are looking really good. I personally believe that he is being overbuffed in a lot of areas. However, as compensation, he is receiving some nerfs to his kit, which kind of make up for the large buffs. Building attack speed on this guy is going to be extremely powerful next patch, and also make sure to take Conqueror now on him, because it'll stack with your E. Although we will not be placing him in our tier list this patch, make sure to try him out because he'll be pretty powerful. powerful. And if you guys are interested in playing Garen at the highest level, then you have to check out ProGuides.com because we have a ton of great information on not only how to play Garen, also how to play the top lane. Or you can just hire a Challenger Garen coach on ProGuides right now. The top lane tier list remains pretty similar to what we had at the start of the patch. In our S+ tier, we have 3 members who are Kled, Pantheon, and Kayle. These 3 champions are the strongest solo queue top laners in the game right now and will bring you the best results in your ranked matches. In our S tier, we have Renekton, Darius, Jax, Vladimir, Mordekaiser, Fiora, and Riven. Vladimir is finally seeing a ton of pro play, which will likely result in him being nerfed within the coming months. I really hope that Damwon Gaming's top laner Naguri will continue to show off how strong this champion is so the balance team can finally make some changes. There's been an extremely overpowered new Korean Vlad build, which will literally get you a ton of free low. If you want to know more about this build, then make sure to click that sub button to be notified for our OP Korean builds video later this week. A few notable A-tier champions this patch are going to be Malphite and Teemo. These 2 champs are really close to making that push to S-tier, and we'll likely see them there within the coming weeks. Okay, now on to the jungle. First up in the jungle changes, we have the Shaco rework. Shaco has been left in the dark for quite some time and has been struggling in the meta ever since. Although his win rate in solo queue is pretty good, this is mainly due to his stealth mechanic and nothing else. Firstly, Shaco will receive a small nerf to his base AD and AD per level. Next up, his passive Backstab will now have separate bonuses depending on his basic attack or 2 Shiv Poison. Being hit by an auto will now deal an additional 10 to 25 damage, which scales with 15% of your bonus AD. Being hit by 2 Shiv Poison will deal an additional 15 to 50 damage, which scales with 10% of your AP. Shaco's Q, Deceive, will have its stealth duration increased from 1.5 to 4.5 seconds to 2.5 to 3.5 seconds. The cooldown of Deceive will also be lowered from 16 to 14 seconds to 12 to 10 seconds, and the damage has been changed from 10 to 50 with 40% of your bonus AD to 25 to 65 with 25% of your bonus AD. On top of that, this ability can now crit, and striking them from behind will guarantee a crit for 130% of your bonus AD. Next up is W. Jack in the Box will have its minion fear lowered from 3 to 2 seconds and will also fire at all nearby targets now. In addition to that, the AoE damage will do significantly less than the single target one, but this will overall make his jungle clear really strong. Shaco's E, 2 Shiv Poison, will have its damage type change from physical to magic, and the damage itself will also be getting a buff. On top of that, the execute damage has been changed as well. Lastly, his ultimate Hallucinate will now have its boxes trigger immediately, and the damage has been lowered as well. The single target and AoE damage are the same as his new W Jack in the Box, and the fear duration of this ability has been changed from 0.75 to 1.25 seconds to 1 second flat. Okay, so this is a lot of information to take in, but what does this mean for Shaco? In our opinion, well, overall, these changes are looking amazing, and Shaco will start to see a lot of play within the next coming weeks. There is a secret strat right now with the new Shaco which lets him hit level 3 while everyone else in the game is level 1. This is insanely broken and will make Shaco a must pick or ban champion in the higher ranks. If you guys want to learn more about this secret strat, then make sure to click that sub button, because we're going to be sharing that secret in tomorrow's pick or ban video. Lastly, for the jungle, we have Ivern. Ivern will receive a mini rework this patch, which will only change his auto attacks from melee to ranged. The auto range will be set from 125 to 475, and his W will no longer grant him the extra range from before. Ivern will not be placed in our tier list due to these changes, but we'll keep you guys updated in our mid-patch update video. The jungle tier list remains very similar to the one we had last week. In our S+ tier, we have 3 members who are Kha'Zix, Dr. Mundo, and Echo. These 3 champions will bring you the best results in your upcoming ranked games and are by far the best picks in the jungle. In our S tier, we have Evelynn, Karthus, Elise, Lee Sin, Nunu, J4, and a new member, Zac. Zac recently received a buff to his blobs healing and has made his way into the S tier this patch. He already was kinda sleeper OP before the buffs, but his play rate and win rate have been skyrocketing ever since those changes. His stats on the Korean server are out of control right now, and everyone has been spamming him for some free low. Try him out and let us know how that goes down below. A few notable A-tier picks this patch are going to be Xin Zhao and Nidalee. Although the Western servers like EU and NA don't play a lot of Nidalee or Xin Zhao, these 2 champs are extremely high priority on the Korean server. Seriously guys, do not underestimate them because they're a lot stronger than what you might expect. Okay, now on to the mid lane. Qiyana's been an extremely powerful pick in the mid lane for quite some time and is finally being nerfed this patch. Her Q will have its base damage lowered from 80 to 160 to 60 to 160. Thank God this is happening because the Qiyana level 3 cheese was just so broken. I'm so glad that the Balance team have finally caught on to this cheese strat and are nerfing it to the ground. Qiyana will be dropped from our mid lane A tier into our B tier for patch 9.20. Lissandra used to be the queen of the mid lane a few months ago, but has pretty much disappeared in the recent meta. After the Balance team nerfed her wave clear significantly, Lissandra has been struggling ever since and was in dire need of some buffs. For patch 9.20, Lissandra will have her base armor increased from 20 to 22, and the AP ratio on her passive and W will be increased by 20%. These damage changes are really nice, but Lissandra will not be able to keep up against her counterparts due to her lack of wave clear. Lissandra will be placed in our mid lane B tier. Lastly, for the mid lane, we have a rework coming to Viktor. Firstly, his Q Siphon Power will have its shield change from 8% of your max mana and 15% of your AP to 30 to 115 base with 15% AP. Next up, his W Gravity Field will have its slow buff from 28 to 44% to 30 to 45%. In addition to that, the Vacuum Effect upgrade has been reworked to instead grant a 20% slow for 1 second on all of his abilities. Wow, that is a huge buff. Lastly, his ultimate, Chaos Storm, will have its tick cadence lowered from 2 seconds to 1 second, the number of ticks increased from 3 to 6, the damage per tick lowered significantly, and the augment movement speed increased from 20 to 25%. These changes are really good for Viktor, but it'll be tough to know if he'll come back into the meta or not. Having those augment upgrades being so expensive really hurts him in the fast-paced meta, but let's hope that he can make a triumphant return in patch 9.20. The mid lane tier list remains pretty similar to the one we had at the start of the patch. In our S+ tier, like always, are the two members, Fizz and Talon. These two champions are the best for solo queue currently and will bring you the best results when it comes to ranked. In our S tier, we have Zed, Katarina, Ahri, Malzahar, Kassadin, and Echo. These champions shouldn't come as a surprise to you because they've been in our S tier for quite some time, and they can also get you some pretty easy wins. A few notable A tier picks this patch are going to be Orianna and Galio. Orianna received a huge buff to her ultimate last patch, which skyrocketed her win rate and play rate. She's currently super close to making that push to S tier, but is left in the A tier due to the amount of difficult and bad matchups she has in the current meta. Galio, on the other hand, is pretty much unbeatable in the 1v1, but he's left in our A tier due to the removal of his taunt flash combo. Right now, he's just a power creep with a lot of inflated numbers, but his playmaking potential is still on the low side of things. Okay, and before we go on to the AD carries, if you guys are a mid laner and you guys want to maximize your ability at playing the mid lane, then check out the link below and go watch Hai's master course in the mid lane. Trust me guys, you will not regret it. It's an absolute great course and you'll come out of it with tons more knowledge. Okay, now onto the AD carries. There's only one balance change made for AD carries this patch, which is to Varus. Varus will have his base AD increased from 59 to 61 and his mana regen buffed from 7.34 to 8. These are pretty minor buffs, but they'll help him out a ton during the laning phase. Having the extra base AD and mana regen will likely bring back the poke Varus build that we all loved playing against. Varus will be moved up into the B tier for his on-hit style, but the poke Varus style might make it to the S tier for a mid-patch update. We'll keep you guys updated, just make sure you click that sub button. The AD carry tier list sees almost no changes for patch 9.20. In our S+ tier, we still have Ashe, Caitlyn, and Jinx, who are the same 3 members from our previous tier list update. Those 3 champions are extremely powerful right now. They can dominate the laning phase and can also scale like a monster. In our S tier, we have Kai'Sa, Lucian, Draven, and Vayne. These 4 champions are also very powerful, but a little bit below the S+ tier. They either have a bit of a weak laning phase, poor scaling, or champion difficulty, but they could probably make it to the S+ tier with a little bit of love next patch. Lastly, for the AD carry tier list, we have one notable pick, which is going to be Jhin. Jhin has actually been seeing a lot of play recently and is one of the most underrated AD carries in the game. Ever since the nerf to Stormrazor, a lot of players have dropped Jhin from their champion pools, but trust me on this, he's actually quite strong right now. Try him out and let us know how that goes down below. Okay, and finally we have our supports. First up for the balance changes, we have buffs coming to Locket of the Iron Solari. In the recent meta, Locket has been completely outshined by its counterpart called Zeke's Convergence. Due to the Locket shield strength being so low, a lot of support players have been ignoring this item completely and have found no use for it in their full builds. For patch 9.20, the balance team are looking to bring this item back to its former glory and are buffing the shield strength from 30 to 15 per level to 120 plus 10 per level. This is a huge buff for Locket, and we'll definitely see more players build this in the coming weeks. Since there is so much burst damage in the game right now with Kiana, Pantheon, Kled, and Evelynn, I'm sure the Locket buffs will come in handy. Next up for supports, we'll see some balance changes made to Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank received a buff to his Q recently, which increased the range of it from 1050 to 1150. This was a massive buff, which skyrocketed his win rate straight into the S+ tier in our support tier list. However, for patch 9.20, Blitzcrank will receive some compensation nerfs to his base armor, which will be lowered from 44 to 40, and the armor per level will be nerfed as well, from 4 to 3.5. This means that if you pull a non-priority like Leona or Nautilus, they can easily CC you down and the enemy AD carry can chunk you even harder. Ultimately, this will mean that you'll have to be a little bit more careful who you pull. However, these changes will not pull Blitzcrank down the list. He will remain in our S+ tier this patch. Much like the majority of our tier list, the support tier list doesn't see too many changes in patch 9.20. There weren't a lot of balance changes made this patch, which has led to the tier list remaining pretty similar to before. In our S+ tier, we have the good old Hook City with Pyke, Nautilus, and Blitzcrank. These three champions are the best for solo queue right now, and Pyke plus Nautilus are also great in competitive play. In our S tier, we have Thresh, Morgana, Bard, Swain, Leona, and Nami. Swain support is actually quite strong right now, but has a relatively low play rate. If you're looking for a powerful support who can hard carry games while also having a low ban rate, then Swain will be a great addition to your champion pool. That's it for our patch 9.20 rundown video. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to be notified for our next one. And if you guys want to climb the ranks this season, then click that description link below to get some great in-depth guides by your favorite pro players. The second part of our meta-analysis video will be available next week, which will bring you the most accurate tier list available using fresh statistics. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and we'll see you on the Rift.